I have a special guest here, Ruwan from South Africa, and he is a Steel Mace practitioner. He just started doing Steel Mace online coaching with me about 12 weeks ago, and he just wrapped up his program, and I'm so excited to chat with Ruwan about what he gained from it. Ruwan, I'd love to hear just kind of how did you come into contact with me? Like, how did you discover the whole Steel Mace Vinyasa practice? And yeah, tell us a bit about that.
So I learned about summer through, well, you, I don't know if that's a bad take or whatever, but I learned about Steel Mace Vinyasa through Instagram. Basically, I got exposed to it, and I was very interested in the idea of combining kettlebells and yoga at that point. But I saw that you were using the steel mace, and that intrigued me, and I wanted to know more. So I signed up for one of your free workshops, and then from there got in touch with you, and now we're here.
What was it that stood out to you at that initial workshop that really enticed you to want to sign up for this coaching program to understand Steel Mace Vinyasa better and program design?
I think the way it was like structured, but also like I'm a big fan of using strength training. Like I do like the idea of like strength training with weights. I am a weightlifter myself. But like I never found a way to really mesh that with my yoga practice. And I found that Steel Mace Vinyasa was such a good combination, and it basically married the two concepts perfectly.
Awesome. So rad. Cool. So you have this business called the Antifragile Collective, and I know that you've studied with Cameron Shane, so you've studied a bit of Budokan, you have your 200-hour yoga teacher training, you're a hardstyle kettlebell lifter as well. Yeah, tell me a bit about the Antifragile Collective and like what you're hoping to bring to the community with this this fusion.
So the whole idea was that it was kind of born out of my own need to become stronger, to become anti-fragile or anti-fragile, which refers to like the concept of like a system going through shocks or pain or disruption or anything, and thus adapting and becoming stronger. And that is something that I want to teach my clients as well. Like as they face the adversities of life and they want to become stronger mentally and physically, I want to give them the tools to do that.
Awesome. Can you describe a little bit about where you were at prior to starting coaching with me? Like what was missing from your business? I know you had done a lot of trainings and you were just starting to get more experience in things, but where were you at then? And like what was missing for you?
I was in a big transition phase. I'm also a sound engineer by trade, and my original plan with like starting teacher training was to further my own practice. So I wouldn't say that I was doing it. That the goal was not necessarily to teach from the beginning. I wanted to advance my own practice. But as I got more into movement, went from the 200-hour, I did a yin 30-hour as well, and then got exposed to Budokan. And, you know, working with such inspiring coaches all over the world, like really inspired me to want to actually share movement with people, because I could just see changes happening within myself, and that I'm going to quote Cameron here, but the way you think is the way you move. And it goes vice versa. The way you move is the way you think. And you can tell by the way a person moves how they are in their being.
So what have you noticed shift since you began studying Steel Mace Vinyasa? And it's a pretty rigorous deep dive. There's a lot of online materials, you're training daily, you've got a ton of accountability. Like what shifted for you in those first like 4 to 5 weeks, I'd say?
initially I had a lot of self-doubt. I mean, I felt that I was still on the fence because, you know, I am still working as a sound engineer, but, you know, I felt that I'm being called to transition to something else, especially now in my life. This is work that I'm really passionate about. And what really shifted for me was initially there was a lot of fear, self-doubt. Um, I thought that I struggled to find my own authentic teaching voice, and through going through this process and this course, um, it actually gave me the tools to find confidence and to find my unique teaching voice. And actually, I almost want to say like it pulled me in the direction of becoming a teacher, even if I wasn't sure that I was going to become a teacher.
Awesome. Yeah, a big goal of mine is to help people transition from just coach and instructor into movement educator. And I saw, you know, in your cohort, you moving along and really grasping these really complex concepts, things like somatics and flow state, and just being able to talk about those and riff off those. And in your manual is like extremely just in depth on those concepts too. So a piece of our 100-hour teacher training to graduate, a piece that is really important is being able to develop our own body of work. And so Ruwan developed a manual, and it's called the Ballistic Beast. Actually, could you just give us a little overview about your manual? Who do you serve? How do you serve them? Just tell us a bit about the body of work that you were able to create in the time that you were coached by me.
So with your guidance, I managed to create this 12-week program for people similar to me that have a history of struggling with mental health issues, that want to feel empowered and want to find some inner peace through movement and mindset coaching. The basic idea of the program is that it kind of uses the concepts of flow states. There's a little bit of gamification in there. There's levels that you can achieve. It teaches the principles of teaching from, or you are being led from simple to complex. And I took a lot of the things that I learned from this course and applied them in a unique way, which feels very authentic to myself, which I'm glad. And that it's not just, you know, like me taking Steel Mace Vinyasa and just regurgitating it or stealing from it, I mean, or borrowing or whatever, but it really feels like the work that, or what I enjoy teaching. And I think if you enjoy what you teach, that passion is going to come through as well. So yeah, it sorry, I'm blanking there a little bit.
No worries.
But
yeah, it's really well done. One thing I noticed about your manual, the design aspect is really awesome. It's like black and red, and we've got all these like great imagery, and it's just very well thought out. And it just seems like something fun that you want to interact with. So I think your clients are gonna love it. And I think as a newer coach, it really just helps to solidify your seat as a movement educator, like holding that seat of authority as educator, to have your own body of work, something that you can physically like hand a client, and it's got elements of like lifestyle and meditation and training on the 4-day wave. And you really nailed it. You have like everything in there, and I'm super proud of all that you've created in such a short amount of time. I remember one time in our coaching calls, because we do some one-on-one calls, Ruwan and I had an hour coaching session just specifically geared towards like program design. And that first one, you literally had, I think it was like an Excel spreadsheet with like 200 exercises all like labeled and organized. And I was like, wow, he is so on it. So I just love how your brain works and being able to kind of, you know, take the whole toolbox, because there's a lot, you know, there's kettlebell movements, there's steel mace, there's body weight, there's mobility, and you're able to kind of categorize things and have this giant toolbox, and then not use the whole toolbox for that program, but select the tools that were appropriate for that client in that specific progression. So I applaud you in your professionalism there, and everything that you've produced has been really professional. And I've just loved seeing what you put out. So what stood out to you the most out of working, or what stood out to you the most with working with me and the FlowShala team?
Honestly, it's your passion for teaching. And I think one of the first sessions I asked you, like, what do you get out of this? And you just said that you just love sharing this body of work. And that to me was special. That to me was a turning point in this whole course, was knowing that you have such a passion to create professional movement educators. Like I am totally honored to have been working with you, and I thank you very much.
Yes, it's such an honor now to be able to expand our movement community globally. One of the silver linings, obviously, of in being in a pandemic, but I think everything's meant to happen as it should. And the fact that we're able to really dive deep in this time, like being able to really go deep into theory, somatics, flow state, like it's such a gift to be able to have these tools to really like regulate the nervous system and understand how our nervous system works when we're in that state of fight or flight. Would you care to just give a little feedback around like working with others on the FlowShala team? Like what was your experience with working with other coaches or coming to classes and such?
Unfortunately, because of my time zone, I couldn't really interact with a lot of the stuff on that side. I've only had experience with Rena, and I enjoyed her very much. She gave me some really good feedback on the program, and she, I think she has a very good way of making you think laterally. Like she showed me things in my program that I didn't even think of, or ways that I could apply my coaching. She took the concepts that I had and looked at them from a completely different angle, which just expanded my mind. And it just shows how knowledgeable you guys are, and how experienced you are, and know what you're talking about.
Awesome. Yeah, program design is something that's not often taught, and definitely not taught in yoga certification, especially the 200-hour. We're just taught sequences. And so a big gap that we're working to continue to fill is to create movement educators that really understand the dynamics of functional movement training and moving in 6 degrees of freedom, and then adding that load, adding the steel mace to it as well. So you're getting the elements of program design, because we can't just take someone from 0 to 100. We've got to have a logical progression that takes them through in a way that doesn't bring them into a state of fight or flight, or in a way that's like the most, I guess, beneficial for the nervous system to go through. So what would you want others to know about this program if they're on the fence for signing up for the Steel Mace Vinyasa teacher training? What would you say to them?
I think this course completely changes the way you think of movement and mindset as an industry. I remember you using the phrase, there's a new model, and that really spoke to me. And another thing was that I think this course, the same way like a teacher training takes a yoga practitioner to like advancing very quickly, this course makes you gain that confidence in your own coaching a lot quicker. And you also realize that the knowledge that you've built up, not only in this course, but over the years, has real value to your clients. And realizing that is such an aha moment, that all the time that I've put into myself and my own knowledge really has a lot of value. And that is what I'm trying to give to my clients.
Awesome. Yeah, there's so much time in like doing practice hours, like doing the functional movement screen with your clients, and building a simple progression body weight, and then progressively building into like mace mechanics. And I think a lot of teachers, when they first get started, they want to go for like all the fancy stuff. Like they want to go to 360s right away. They want to go to like the dynamic side swing to warrior 2. Like there's a lot of compound and complex movements that are there for you guys as a coach to know and to embody. But when you get working with like a brand new person, it's really important to build those fundamentals. So we're just, working the foundational movements and getting those really solid so we can build on complex.
No.
Yeah. So what was your biggest takeaway from this program?
I will never forget the moment you told me this, and it was take imperfect action often. That was the greatest piece of advice that I got the whole year. Because I struggle with a perfectionism procrastination dichotomy, and what happens is if it's not perfect, then I don't do it, but then I feel bad because I don't do it. And you just pushed me to, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if at least I'm learning by doing, and taking those imperfect action takes the fear element out of it. And that to me has just been the greatest piece of advice for not only me as a teacher, but me as a person.
Well, that is so good to hear, that those little quotes that I throw in there sometimes. I got to keep that one going. Take imperfect action often. Sometimes when I'm moving through different, phases and seasons in my life, a quote will really resonate with me. And I think I was really living by that pretty often for a good quarter there. So I'm glad that you caught it in that time. But I'll try to remember to keep integrating that, because it's definitely has become automatic for me, especially in pandemic. We're just we're continuing to take action, and that momentum and that action is really what allows us to continue to share this work on a deeper level with others. All right, so my final question for you is, tell us a bit about who you serve in your new program. So you designed this 12-week program. Who's your ideal client, and why is it important for you to serve them?
I think especially going through the pandemic now, there's a lot of people that struggled with mental health, and I could see it. We had daily reports of people or levels of depression and anxiety going up, people losing jobs, and people felt disenfranchised and disempowered. And I think this program is perfect for anybody struggling with depression, anxiety, any kind of mood disorders, who want to feel empowered and find inner peace. And feeling strong in your body and in your mind really gives you a sense of purpose. And that is what I want to give them ultimately.
Awesome. So you can find Ruwan at Antifragile Collective on Instagram and check out what he's up to. And he'll be launching his program very soon. Thank you so much, Ruwan, for coming on today and sharing a bit about your story. It's a pleasure to have you here. Namaste.
Namaste.